Hey, it's Anthony Whitaker here, and welcome to today's episode of the Grow My Salon Business podcast. And whether you are a regular listener or perhaps this is your first time, either way, it's great to have you join us here. Now, if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, then don't forget to leave us a review and or share this podcast with those that you know will benefit from hearing it. So, on with today's show. Now, my guest today is a young Australian hairdresser and Australian salon owner by the name of Mikki Auld. And earlier this year, I saw that she decided to leave her salon in Brisbane and move to Los Angeles and start afresh as a self-employed stylist. And within no time at all, she was already posting that she was having fully booked days, very much because she was out there on the street hustling for new business. Now, I love a little bit of hustle, and seeing people get out there and build their book from scratch, and doing that in another country when you don't have a social network or friends and family nearby, it certainly takes a lot of courage and a lot of self-belief. So in today's podcast, we're going to discuss why she made the decision to move to LA, what she's been doing to build her book so quickly, and how she's able to keep her salon in Brisbane working without her, and so much more. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Mikki Auld.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
No, it's fantastic.
Chat to you.
Well, I'm excited as well because, we're going to talk about your social media and stuff in a minute, but I've been seeing what you've been, up to. And I think it's very brave of you, very courageous for some of the stuff that you're doing at the moment. And I can't wait to dig into all of that because I know that our audience are going to like it. But in the intro, I said that you have a salon of your own in Brisbane, Australia, and you've left it fully staffed and you've got someone else managing it and you've moved to Los Angeles. So an obvious place to start is simply to ask you why? Why have you gone and done that?
Yeah.
Because that sounds like a huge leap to leave your salon in someone else's hands and move country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that would be one way to put it. I think some people would think I'm absolutely crazy. When I met my partner, Ed, in 2020, one of the first things he told me on our first date was that he was halfway through getting his O1 visa. So he's a tattoo artist and a visual artist. So originally, it was his idea and his dream to do a working stint in America. So O1 visas, for anyone who's not familiar, are 3-year working visas. So you have to be someone with extraordinary talent within your industry. Generally, it's of like a film or, of a creative nature. Okay. So he was halfway through getting that. And at the time I was like, oh, well, this relationship isn't going to go very far, obviously, because I've got a salon here in Australia, and how the hell is this going to work? But obviously it did progress. And as time went on, I looked into the same visa and I was really intrigued. And I thought, you know what, this could be really fun. Maybe we should give it a go. And I am someone who's obviously, do everything you want in life, and no matter how challenging it might be, like, give it a shot, because I don't want to reach the end of my life and have any kind of regrets. So I wanted that desperately for him. And then, I guess it just also became a dream of mine as time went on. And so I thought, let's do it. I looked into it and I was approved, but it was a long process getting here. It was really hard. It was a hard decision to make. It did not come lightly. It took me a good 4.5 years of daily mini breakdowns, and I was really, really scared to do it.
Yeah, well, I saw on your Instagram feed a sort of an announcement of when you decided to go public with it. I think it was like a reel that you'd made to clients and whoever was following you, basically. And it is a big step. So it definitely can't be more than 3 years. So it is like a temporary thing. You do have to go back, or you're anticipating that anyway, yeah?
Yes, so you can renew it. You can renew your O1 visa. Australia for us will always be home. To keep your O1 visa, especially if you do want to renew it, you have to spend a decent amount of time in the US. It's not like you can come and work and then go back again. And I have friends, within the hair industry who are also on O1 visas, and they are based still out of Australia. But I think it's much more difficult to renew the visa if you want to have another 3 years if you haven't spent much time here. And obviously it's about making money and fueling the economy here as well. So you have to make sure that you are, here. But I mean, Australia is home for us. We will go back there eventually. So this is like a fun season of life. And I thought, you know what, it's going to build my career. It's going to build Ed's career. And then who knows, I could offer opportunity to my team, build the Salon brand back home. So I just thought, you know, you live once, life is short. Let's see what happens and what comes from it, really.
Good, fantastic. Okay, so why Los Angeles? America's a big place. You could have gone anywhere. What was the particular draw there?
Yeah, I mean, it is a big place. I haven't spent much time here. I visited for a week in 2023, I think it was, because I thought, well, I hadn't even been to America. So we decided that we would go and check out some places. New York didn't appeal to me. It's too busy. Like, I haven't been yet. I'm sure I would love visiting, and I'm excited to do that. But LA for me feels like an extension of Australia. It's just much more vibrant, much more colorful. There's, it's the land of opportunity. I walk down the street here, you never know who you'll see on any given day. There's something really inspiring and energetic about it. And I felt that as soon as I landed here, and I honestly love it. I think it gets a bad rap, I feel, but I think it's a really fun and beautiful place. The weather's beautiful, and it's a fun place to be. So, and I also knew, personally, my expertise lies in balayage and blondes. Clearly, California is the place for that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, all right. So you get off the plane, you're in this new country. How did you set up a salon space? Like, are you working from home, or have you got a salon suite, or like have you joined forces with someone else? What's going on as far as that happens?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I am someone who really likes to be organized nowadays. I think that comes from, being in business for nearly a decade. And so before I left Australia, I was looking at every possible option. So I was looking at spaces that I could just, land and I could open up a space here. I was looking into salon suites. Like, I guess we have, I can't remember the name, but, big suites where people can go and rent a day, a daily rent, but it's not actually a functioning, already established salon. I was looking at those. I reached out to a bunch of salons here and inquired about, what they call commission and being like an employee, because I was like, do I go that way first? And then I looked into like rent a chair. So I really did my homework before coming here. And for me, I mean, a rule that I live by in business, and what I tell anyone who's, in the early days of business or thinking about going into business, is that you should always start with as little risk as possible. It's the stress-free way of going about business, I think. And I'm someone who likes to, I'm a hard worker. I really enjoy work, and I don't mind hustling as hard as I can to get to a certain goal. So for example, when I landed here, I thought, okay, I could probably go out and invest and get a lease on a place and open a salon, but LA is expensive. I am just, figuring out my way here. I don't really know how it's going to go. I am going to just rent a chair in a salon. And even for me, even just doing that was a little bit scary because I didn't have a client base here. So I had to build all of that, and it's been amazing. I've been incredibly busy. But I went that way first because I just wanted it to be as easy as possible to get started. So low risk. And then I can gradually climb and expand from there. So I don't really know what will happen next, but we'll see. I'm kind of just going with the flow. That's kind of the way I do things.
Yeah, but you are working in someone else's salon at the moment, but you're self-employed.
I am, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yes.
I'll tell you another thing I'm curious about is Americans are pretty hardcore about the cosmetology license. So how have you got around that? Because I know it's different in different states, etc. But Do you have a cosmetology license? Did you have to get one? Was it transferable? I mean, how did that work?
Mm-hmm. It was a bit stressful. When we first landed here, we went on a 6-week road trip around the US. So we went through 8 different states in the 6-week period. So I was
Okay.
on the road, and I really underestimated how long the process is of getting the cosmetology license. And
Hmm.
as someone who's not from America, as you know, things are different here. Most people go to cosmetology school. The licensing is very different, as you said. It differs state to state. So I really underestimated that process and how long that would take. I was actually on the road, and I was in Denver, and I had to print out a whole lot of forms. Basically, what I'm on is a reciprocity
Okay.
license. So I had to, contact my school. I didn't even know if they would have the records because I
Mm.
qualified in like 2008 or something. So I was like, do they have like all the minutes and everything? But they were great. They sent everything through.
Right.
And
Okay.
as you'd be aware as well, the language is all different here. So things are in Fahrenheit, and there's a lot of like perming and afro hair, and which is great because I feel like in
Mm.
Australia we could do a lot more in that space. But like
Mm.
it was just I really didn't know any of those things. So I was a bit nervous, but I passed and I got it. And yeah, it worked out well. But so many of my hairdresser friends here were like, I can't believe you got your license in under a month. Like, what did you do? Because I've heard it can take up to 6 months. And I,
Mm.
I was not
Well,
prepared for if that happened.
yeah, it's a thing that I'm always amazed with America. There's 50 states. They could be literally feeling like 50 countries sometimes because different
Oh,
states.
definitely.
It's
Uh-huh.
interesting that you said that there was this reciprocity between
Mm,
Australia and the US where they would recognize that license. Because
yes.
you're a hairdresser in LA. It doesn't mean you can be in California. It doesn't mean you can be a
Mm-hmm.
hairdresser in New Jersey if you don't have a Jersey
Mm-hmm.
license or whatever. So
Uh-huh.
that's good. That's good that you have that. Okay. Right. The thing that I really like about you on Instagram is your hustle. And not just on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram with this, because I mean, I've known of you for, I don't know how long now, 4 or 5 years, whatever it is. And I've seen you building up your salon in Brisbane. And I sort of see little bits and pieces on Instagram, etc. And, and you are a hard worker. And you are a hustler. You're a go-getter. You're out there and you're going to make things happen. And so, when I saw you on Insta again in LA and you're handing out flyers with your name on and all this sort of stuff, I thought, good on you, girl. That is fantastic because,
Yeah.
there's so many people today, no matter where they are in life, or what country they live in, or what stage of career they're at, where they're not prepared to hustle. And,
Mm-hmm.
the world loves a hustler. And so I want you to talk about that. How do you build up a clientele? Because I've seen you saying on social media that you're already fully booked some days, which is
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. So you're getting
Yeah.
out there and you're really shaking the branches and you're making it happen. So talk to
Mm-hmm.
us like what's driving all that, how you're making that happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, firstly, the harder that you work, the luckier you'll get. No one's going to hand you anything. I think, the way I grew up out west in the country, and both of my parents are very, very hard workers and no nonsense. So that's what I was brought up around. And so it's really like second nature to me. So, I mean, as I said, I've got a really strong work ethic and I love work. And I just, I don't know. I was like, well, I have to survive in this city. It's expensive, and I have spent a lot on the visa, which was 15,000 AUD, by the way, if anyone's thinking of looking into it. Um, and I was like, I've got 3 years to not only, make all of that back and all the expenses in, what we spent on moving over here, but I need to absolutely kill it. And I need to be well known and the best in the city at what I do. Like there is no option to fail. And so that's my mindset. So I think mindset number one is the most important thing. Like for whether you're an employed team member or you're doing your own business, it starts with your mindset. So I think, that's the first step. And then as in terms of like how I'm marketing myself, I just think of everything. And I think the old school way still really works. So I've been, creating flyers. I've got posters up on the street. I've handed out flyers. I've put flyers in shops. I've approached people on the street who I think are my dream client demographic. I've approached girls who have hair who look like they suit my dream client, and I've offered to do their hair for free. I have worked 12-hour days on Saturdays, sometimes Sundays. I have just, I was like, well, I have to be productive. It doesn't matter if I am earning no money for that day, and I've just, I've only paid for a chair and I've paid for a bunch of product, and then I don't get anything for my time. But what I am getting is marketing material. And if these girls love their hair, they're going to talk to someone about it. I'm going to get people in because of their recommendation. And so I guess that's what I'm doing in terms of like the old school. When it comes to my social media, I have been running ads, which I've actually found to be really successful, which was surprising because I've had mixed experiences in running meta ads for my salon back in Australia. And I think, that is I'm lucky in that sense as well, that I do have a lot of, I've got a decade of experience in marketing my salon business. So I've kind of tried and tested things back in Australia, which has been helpful. But yeah, meta ads have worked really, really well for me here. Like I've just been very specific at who I'm targeting. So for anyone who might be interested in meta ads, because I think, even my clients who have their own businesses are like, how are you doing this? Because you targeted me like so well. You've really defined your niche. And my advice would be, when you go in, even if you're boosting an Instagram post, don't just let Instagram choose the audience for you. Go in and really nut out who that person is. So like their age, sex, male, female, and their interests. So I put in anything from Pilates girl to, loves drinking matcha. This is the other brands that they follow. I want the Erwan and Goop girls. Like I put all of those keywords into my like targeting for meta ads, and it's worked super, super well. So I would say like 90% of my clients have probably found me through the ads. Like they'll say social media, and then when I talk to them more about it, they'll be like, oh no, I think I saw something pop up on my stories. And I'm not putting a huge budget behind them either. It might be $100 Australian for 5 days or something. And it's paid dividends. So
great,
yeah,
good. And like, what's the split between? I know you said 90%. Is that? Are you meaning that 90% of your new clients are coming from meta advertising and 10% are coming from old school, or like is that what it is?
Yeah.
So the old school referral, handing out cards on the street, that's generating, but not to the degree that you thought it would. Yeah.
And slower, because people on social media are ready to buy. They're actively searching Los Angeles balayage. They're probably consuming a lot of that type of content. And so those people are booking quite quickly as soon as they see the ads. Then like the posters and the flyers and everything like that, they're definitely working. I'm getting email inquiries and I'm having people book. I think it's just a slower burn, but it's still equally as important, because it's, people are walking down Sunset Boulevard. That's where my salon is. And I've got posters up. Sometimes it takes people a number of times just to see your name and to see your posters before they know who you are and they book with you. But so I think it's important to do it all.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting for you to do that, to be back in that mindset of having to do that, because, you've got a successful salon back in Brisbane and you've got young staff, and I'm sure you're saying to them, listen, you've got to get out there and shake the branches and, see what falls, sort of thing. So you're out there doing that now. And how does that feel? I mean, you've been in the industry a little while. How does that feel to sort of be going back to, oh my God, I've got to build this from scratch again and make it happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's a humbling experience for sure, but I find it really invigorating and really motivating. And I'm really enjoying just going back and building up again, because I think it's a new adventure for me. Paloma Roan has been around for nearly a decade, and it really is a well-oiled machine now. So me, as someone who is a visionary and very entrepreneurial and very creative, and I have to be stimulated all the time, I was ready for a new challenge. And so I'm really, really loving it.
Good.
But I mean, it does take work, and you, as I said before, like the harder you work, the luckier you get. And yeah, I just think you got to tick all the boxes, and you've just got to do the most you possibly can.
Yeah, well, we'll come to that Paloma Roan in a second, but I just need to make sure our audience know that that is the name of your salon that you've got,
Yes.
back in Australia. So,
Yes.
okay, so yeah, because that'll be interesting. I want to find out how that's working, because a lot of people would never be able to leave their business for any length of time. 3 weeks can be can be like too big a call for some people. So I'll come to that in a minute. But I want to ask you, like, so far, what's been the biggest learning that you've had, like, making this transition? What have you learned about yourself?
I mean, I was so nervous to leave for so long. Like the last 4 years for me have been really, really hard. Number one, COVID, obviously. And then number two, in the back of my mind, I knew that we were going to want to make America happen. And so I've just been so stressed out for 4 years and so worried about how I'm going to make everything work. And now that I'm over here, honestly, the biggest learning is that I'm capable. And as a salon owner, and I think it's getting better now, but there was a period there that was really, really hard, and the landscape has changed. Owning a salon business is really, really difficult. Not that I had one 20 or 30 years ago, so I don't have that experience, but I do know that the industry is different now, and we've got many other things that we've got to focus on, social media being one of the biggest things. And so it's a huge challenge, I think, owning a salon space these days. It's easy to get caught up in that and think that you can't make a change or you can't do things differently. And it's okay to be really scared of doing things differently. And what I mean by that is like the framework that I had to change, which would allow me to come over here. So having like a co-director, which we'll discuss. But I think the biggest lesson is that life does go on. You do have options. And yeah, I mean, I'm much more capable than what I probably gave myself credit for. Yeah.
Good. That's fantastic. What is the biggest difference in terms of hairdressing and work, aside from the fact that you get enormous tips in the United States, which you don't get, in Australia? I mean, I worked in Australia as well for a while, and if someone gave you a tip, it was like, oh my God, a tip.
Yeah. Hey, do you want change?
yeah. Or, oh, thank you, that's so sweet of you, but you don't have to, Whereas in America, that is a very, definite part of your income. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, the tips are amazing. Like, it's pretty brutal when you come over here from Australia and you're paying on with AUD. So as soon as I started getting USD, it made things a lot easier for sure, because tips it can add up, but it's amazing when you're getting them. I think the biggest difference in the industry, I mean, Australia, it's very much an apprenticeship model. So people will be employed by a salon and you're working within that salon for, up to 4 years. And I think that gives you, I mean, I love that model. I'm going to be biased, obviously. I'm Australian and I have an Australian hair salon. I do think going to cosmetology school and getting a license and assisting, I think it definitely works. It just creates a different mindset, maybe. I feel like, especially in Los Angeles, most people have been self-employed, I suppose.
So, yeah, there's pros and against with both. What about pricing?
Yeah, I mean, that is something that has definitely shocked me. Pricing, when I landed here, salons that I was looking at working in, haircut prices, $200, $250, which I'm converting to AUD all the time. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could ever get away. I mean, of course you can get away with like charging. No, I shouldn't say get away, because I think it's brilliant that people can. But in Queensland in particular, I think I found it, people are much more like budget aware and maybe stricter with how much they're going to spend on their hair. That definitely has been something different about living in Los Angeles. I feel like people really value it. So that's probably also meant that it's been easier for me to build a client base here. But yeah, I would say the pricing is higher overall. I've had girlfriends who live here who, have a full head of highlights and a haircut, and they're paying like $700 for that, and not necessarily super, super high end. And as I said, I think it's brilliant to be able to charge that for sure. I think I'm just constantly converting things to AUD, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could do that in Australia. So I think that's been a difference.
Yeah, when Mikki's saying AUD, for anyone who's suddenly, what does she keep saying? It's Australian dollars, okay? When she's converting from US dollars to Australian dollars. And yeah, there is what is the Aussie dollar? Is it about 70 cents to the US, something like that? Yeah, I think it's usually hovers around that. Yeah, okay. All right, so your salon business, this is something that I'm sure would intrigue a lot of people, that you've set up a business that you've been able to walk away from, and it still work without you. I'm sure you're in touch with them, and I'm sure you spend a lot of time, putting systems and processes and stuff in place. But tell us, like, what that journey has been like, that you'd made a commitment to your partner, that you were going to move here, you got the visa, but at the same time, you've got this established, successful business with, I don't know, how many staff do you have?
It's 12.
12, right. So, it's a significant sized team to sort of walk away from. And when the leader disappears, that can have a big impact on things. So how's that sort of working out? And what were the things that you put in place to keep it working well without you having to be there all the time?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's such a long journey. I'll try and condense it as much as I can. In 2022, I actually decided to move about an hour away from the salon. For me, it was like a trial period where I was going to spend some time away and invest in building a manager. So I brought someone on in, I think, 2021 to basically build a plan with them to build them into my manager, my team leader. I have gone through 4 different managers, team leaders, trying to find that person to stay there and to keep the wheels on at Paloma Roan, essentially. So, like, long story short, it was a lot of trial and error, and not necessarily, like, nothing tragic ever happen. It's just people's lives would change, or they would experience it and say, no, you know what, that's not for me. Or I myself am going to move over, abroad now, or something like that. So it's definitely been a journey to get here, and it has not been an easy one. I have taken, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward. Like it's been a long journey to get here. So essentially, I guess I could talk you through the framework of my salon. I have a front desk manager. So she runs everything from a front desk perspective, but she also ensures that the salon's running really smoothly on a day-to-day basis. So she'll do all the stock ordering, manage all of the appointments, set the team up, for the day ahead, and plan all of our meetings and organize education, things like that. Then I have a creative team leader who works on the floor. So they're a hairstylist. We allocate time out of their book every single week so they can have there'll be a variety of different jobs. So I've really had to fine tune, what does each position look like? What does each role look like? And what are the tasks within each of that role? And then when do they do those tasks? So, like, lots of time blocking, lots of consistency. Like, that is absolutely key. So one-on-ones, for example, happen every single fortnight, and they are booked in advance, and they do not move, and they happen all the time. And we follow the same structure for those one-on-ones as well. And then our team meetings are booked in advance. And then we have leadership team meetings, which happen weekly as well. So on a Tuesday, my manager and front desk, like receptionist, and my team leader and myself when I was back in Australia. And then I have a general manager as well who does all of my accounts. We meet once a week and we have conversations. So there's a lot of communication, a lot of consistency. What I ended up doing in terms of who would be the leader. So I guess the picture I'm trying to paint is I have a lot of leadership roles in different types of areas, and they're very well defined so that they don't overlap, but it just ensures that everything is covered. So like the front desk and everything is covered. The creative team leader is taking care of the daily performance, with the team and communicating with our leadership team, because she has eyes on the floor. She can see this person might need some assistance with this, or I think this person is feeling this way today. Maybe, she's that person. And then I have a general manager who in the background, so they actually worked remotely for me doing my accounts, my payroll, helping me develop contracts. They've really been like a business partner. For me, they were someone that I hired, and gradually that relationship just strengthened, and they came on board and did a lot more with me in a business sense. So after I went through the 4 different managers, and I tried different things, whether that, manager would be just my front desk person would be my manager, and they would be the person that would run the entire salon. Then when that didn't happen, I replaced. They had a massive life change, so someone else came in and took that role, and I built them in that space. Then they decided they wanted to go and run their own business, so then I brought on a creative team leader and started building them, and then she decided to move overseas. And now I have another team leader who is learning how to really run the salon when I'm not there and be that person, but it's the general manager who's doing all the accounts and everything, who is keeping the wheels on it for me. So she's been working with me in the business for like 5 years now. And I think it's really important that if you are going to move away, one thing I learned, and obviously like I learned it the hard way, is you can kind of throw a bunch of opportunity and throw a lot of money at people. But I think people have to have some skin in the game. They have to buy into the business or become a partner, just to get them to stay in it, because everyone's life can change. But when you're the owner of a business, or you have a financial interest in that business, you're going to stick around to ensure that it does really well. So I think that is key. And I've learned that from mentors of mine who have a chain of salons back in Australia. I have some great mentors around me, thank goodness. And so I've just picked their brains a lot and have asked them a lot of questions. And that's the one thing that they all tell me. They're like, they have to have skin in the game. That's what's going to keep them. That's what's going to keep them there,
Yeah. Okay. What's the time difference between Los Angeles and Brisbane? So I'm just thinking from your perspective, that's really hard to communicate with them. It's difficult to jump on the phone. Like here you are at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning, Pacific time at the moment. So what time does that make it in Australia?
It would be very early in the morning on Wednesday morning in Australia.
Yeah, so it's the next day.
The next day, 3 a.m. or something. So like I said, because our meetings and everything is scheduled in advance, I know exactly what time they're happening. I haven't had to jump on many of those. And because I'm getting well established here, I had to like really prioritize that. I'll check in on WhatsApp and send messages. I phoned in for a few of our meetings. So I check in with my business partner really frequently. But for us, it was really important that the team could function without me there. So, and I mean, it's a lengthy conversation to have, because so many things go into that. It's not just about, who's going to be the person to manage the team and to lead the team, but it's also about what are the team getting that's going to make them want to stay, aside from the leadership and the management. So that's about like really being able to define what their career pathways look like, which is something that we really had to fine tune. So it's really layered. And as you know, one area of business bleeds into the other and everything is connected. So, I mean, the last 4 years have really been about nutting things out and just ensuring that everything is so well systemized. Like a book I read is The E-Myth, I can't remember who wrote it.
Michael Gerber.
But I love that book. Michael Gerber. I love that book. I've read it a few times, and I always take notes, and it's got lots of tagged pages. And it's tricky. It's definitely not for the faint-hearted. But I mean, my business partner has been doing business with me and working with me for 5 years. Okay. They've been there, so they were a very natural fit for that position.
Yeah. Do you miss the sort of day-to-day running of the salon? I mean, now you're working in someone else's space, and you walk in and you do clients, and then you walk out and you go. You're not in charge of marketing the business, so to speak, and developing a brand. And I know that that's a big part of what your strengths are. So do you miss that side of it?
I mean, I do, but Paloma honestly is really well established now. Like, I think it's really important to always revisit your branding, but I just made sure that we had the wheels in motion before I left. So in terms of how our website looked or our social media strategy. So I gave one of my team members the title of social media manager. So she's got an added bit of income in that space, and she had a full breakdown of what that had to look like and what her role was in that space, so she could take over there. And she's been doing a great job. And then my front desk girl has been doing our email marketing, and I gave her a formula for how to do that. And then honestly, day to day, Anthony, like, it got to a point at Paloma where I would be like, what do you need me for? What can I do? And they'd be like, no, Mikki, that's not where that is, or that's not how we do that. Like, my team really are amazing and so good at their jobs that sometimes I go in there and I feel like I'm just in the way.
Well, great. That is the ideal scenario to build a business that works without you. So, that's great if you've achieved that. I'm looking at it from another perspective. I know you've not been there that long, but is there anything you've learned from, being in another country, being in LA, working as a hairdresser for someone else or in someone else's space? Is there anything that you've learned that you've been able to feed back into the business back home for you that is like, oh my God, they do this here and this is fantastic. I can't wait to, incorporate that into the salon. It might be a hair thing, or it might be a service thing, because, service standards in America are, generally speaking, I think, very, very good. And service standards in Australia are, someone used this expression to me once. They said, there's a difference between being friendly and giving good service. And Australians are very friendly, but there's not always service, so to speak. Whereas I think in American businesses in general, you'll, generally speaking, get a high degree of service. So tell me about your observations about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting you make that point. I think Americans, the guys like in the salon space where I work, they're not afraid to be honest with their clients. And I think their clients respect them for that. So I think, I know for myself, and I feel like it is a bit of an Australian thing. We want to be friendly. We want to make everyone feel really comfortable, or we say yes a lot and we apologize a lot. And I feel like I can get caught in that trap of like, I will still want to make something possible for someone, even though I'm like going to stress myself out and it might not be overly possible. I feel like Americans really are like, we can't do this, but we can do this today, and this is what it looks like. So I've really learned to be more direct and to really back myself. That's something that I really admire about people here. It's just part of the culture, I think, and it's different in that way. And then the other thing that I would say I've learned is, yes, the standard is so high, service-wise. It's really, really amazing. You go to a restaurant here, it's incredible. Bar staff, it doesn't matter what the industry is, the service generally overall is exceptional. And so I've definitely been inspired by that. But even when it comes to my craft, like just what I've learned and who I've been around, I feel really inspired to get better at what I do. I even look at my own work and I'm like, I'm going to try this, or I'm going to go and learn that, and I'm going to upskill. So I feel, I guess it's just opened my eyes to what's possible. It seems to be on another level here. I mean, it is Los Angeles, so naturally that's going to be the case. But I think, That's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
The standard overall and the communication and the service. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to wrap up in a minute, but the salon that you're currently in, I know you said that you're self-employed there. Is everyone there self-employed, or is it a hybrid, or what's the deal?
Yeah, they are. Everyone's self-employed. So it's a little studio space and everyone just has like a chair rental. So it's either weekly or it's daily. And I just do a weekly rate. And I mean, everyone's different. I looked at a bunch of different salon spaces when I was here. So there are places that will want you to sign on for like 12 months, for example, which I totally understand from a business perspective why that's important for sure. Then there's like more casual arrangements where it might just be daily, but that daily rate's higher, or a weekly rate, which is what I do. But everyone in the salon space is self-employed, but it does work really, really well. The owner has really great standards and he's very clear about what he expects, and it works well. Yeah.
Okay. So your salon back in Australia, is that employees, or do you have some self-employed people working in there as well?
No, it's fully employed. So employed senior stylists and apprentices. Yeah.
Right. So has this experience for you working in a self-employed space, obviously it's worked well for you, has it changed your thinking about how you might adapt that to your salon back home?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Maybe my salon, because of the way it runs, is so structured for the employment model. I'm definitely I'm very like open, and I want to support my team, no matter where they're at. And I've had people go self-employed within my salon. There's been 2 occasions when I've agreed to that. If someone's been with me for, my first experience with that, she had been with me for 6 years, and then I allowed her to do that. It was the first time she mentioned it to me, was 6 years in. And then the other was like 3 years in, and she went self-employed essentially. So I am open to it. I just think my model does really work well for employed team, just because of the amount of meetings we have, or like the education we offer. It really is woven into our everyday. So I just, but I mean, it's been a really great experience. And I think like salon spaces that offer self-employment are so important. I think everyone has a role to play. I'm not sure I would change too much structurally just yet, but who knows? I mean, you've got to adapt and change as well.
Yeah, I think one of the big differences is the fact that in Australia you have a lot of employee, call them entitlements. Yeah, employee entitlements. The rest of the world calls them employee benefits. And I think that just that different word is very interesting in itself. That people in Australia that are employed and they are entitled to all these things, and they get seriously pissed if they don't get them. So whether we're talking about holiday pay or, sick pay, personal care, statutory days off, all these things, and Americans don't get that. So if you're working in a commission-based salon, as an employee, you don't automatically get holiday pay. It's entirely at the discretion of the owner as to whether they want to pay you some holiday pay or not. Some do, most don't. The bigger salons, the bigger brands might do it once you've been there for a while, but most Americans are shocked when they sort of understand what sort of a deal people do get in other countries in terms of, 4 weeks holiday pay and, 10 days sick and 12 days national holidays. And, and then in Australia, you have all these really unique things like long service leave and all this sort of stuff, which makes it far more appealing to be an employee, because why would you want to give up all that stuff that you give up as a self-employed person there? So I can sort of really understand why the booth rental, rented chair, self-employed salon suite thing is so successful in the American market. In Australia, I know you have salon suites, but it's a little bit harder to understand why it would be as popular there, so to speak, because of what you're giving up when you leave an employed role. So yeah, interesting.
Exactly. That's definitely been, that's definitely been one of the biggest things. Like, I'll have conversations with the girls in the salon, and they talk to me about, employment in Australia, and I'll tell them the things that that are the employer entitlements and that I pay my team and what they get. And they're just like, how do you keep your doors open? So it's interesting because I'm like, it's so different here. But yeah, you're right. I think it just works well. Like, it works well for us. And I'm really passionate about bringing new people into the industry and nurturing new talent. And so in order for me to do that, the employment model works because I have team there that can train them. And it's not that those that were self-employed didn't do that. They were amazing at mentoring. But, there's obviously it's what's legal as well, and like being able to pay someone to be at work and help with those things and everything. So it's what works for us.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, listen, we need to start wrapping up. Whereabouts can people connect with you? On Instagram or any other social media channels or website? Where would you like to send them?
Yeah, people can find me at Mikki Auld _hair on Instagram. So that's MIKKIAULD _hair. And then my website is mikkyauld.com. So either of those.
Great. Okay. Well, I will put those links on our website, Grow My Salon Business, and in the show notes for today's podcast, no matter where you're listening to it. And so if you're listening to this episode with Mikki Auld and you've enjoyed it, then do me a favor and share it with people who you know would also enjoy it. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a rating and review on the Apple Podcast app or Spotify app. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then give us a like, a follow, a thumbs up, or whatever it is you do. Okay, so to wrap up, Mikki, thank you for being on this week's episode of the Grow My Salon Business podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a hoot.
No, it's good. It's been really interesting, finding out how you're getting on there. It might be good to revisit this,
For sure.
At the end of 3 years or something, to go, okay, so what worked and what didn't work? That'll be interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Interesting.
All right. So, the sequel. Watch out for the sequel. So thanks again.
Thank you.